Hi,
Wait, wait, I'm on?
you're
Yes, you're
on.
on.
You're live. I'm Eve. This is Alyssa. What's your
I'm
question
in.
for tonight?
I made it.
You made it.
I'm already
Alright,
so
alright, alright.
nervous.
Alyssa,
Okay.
what's your question for us?
So you guys read the topic? You guys saw my text?
I
Yeah.
see here it says the
Like,
patriarchy is beneficial. So
hell
I'd
yeah.
love to hear
Okay.
it.
So so my first question would be, how would you guys define the patriarchy?
Were you
Well,
listening
we've
at the
already
beginning of the show?
Come again?
Were you listening to the beginning of the show tonight?
No, I just like listened like
Okay.
an hour ago. I just came in an hour ago.
Okay, cool. Alyssa, do you want to fill him in?
Yeah. Yeah, so we were
Yeah, fill me
asking
in.
because we talked about it earlier in the call. But it's a system, both political and social, where men are inherently the ones dominating that system. So they are superior to everything and everyone. And everyone who is not a man is viewed to be weak or subpar in some way. I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think that definition is a little bit elementary. So I'm going to provide
It's
my
the
own,
literal
and we're going
definition.
to see if,
It's
huh?
it's the literal definition. So yeah, if you want to tell us what patriarchy means to you, and then we can see where our differences
Well, I
are.
think there's
But
a lot of
that's like
overlap
the actual
anyway.
definition. Okay, let's hear.
So anyway, I think that what the patriarchy is the collective of the masculine ego, which is usually possessed by men, and that ego is being imposed upon the structures, cultures, and well, not yeah, okay, the structure, culture, customs, and the morality of a civilization or society. So there's an overlap, but the what I wouldn't agree with, kind of, I guess, in the conventional definition of what you just said, was that it necessarily puts all men in power or men in power over anybody else who is not a man. I don't think that's necessarily correct. So I guess, hmm, you see, because there's a lot of angles that you could approach this from. Let me just follow up with another question, okay?
Sure.
Is America? Would you say America is ran by a patriarchy? I mean, I think it is, but would you say it is
Yeah, so
ultimately?
Yes.
that's what we answered earlier in the evening. Yes, that in general,
Okay.
Alyssa and we both have slightly varying opinions. We'll see if that becomes relevant in this call. We have slightly varying opinions on like how extreme and where we think that patriarchy shows up the most. But yes, we both agree in general that this is a patriarchal society.
Uh,
What was that?
I don't know if I could hear you right now.
Oh, can you
Oh,
hear us?
Okay, okay, I could hear you again. I could hear you again. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so what's your question?
Okay, so America is a patriarchy. Okay, now is Iraq a patriarchy?
Yep.
Okay. Now is it seems absurd right now, but I promise it's going to lead to a point. Anyway, is Japan a patriarchy?
Can we get to the point instead? Or does it take leading
Okay.
questions?
So basically, we see that
Yeah.
there ubiquitously there's patriarchies within every corner of the earth, but the treatment of men and
Not
women are
every.
completely different. Well, just about every nation on the planet is is a patriarchy. At least every developed one is a patriarchy.
I would
Yay or
disagree,
nay?
actually. No, I disagree.
Okay,
My partner's from Finland, and Finland is more of an egalitarian nation. And you can see that when you're
yeah.
there. It was like the first time I've ever been able to walk around a city by myself and didn't have anything happen to me that made me feel unsafe, which I couldn't. I was like in tears because I was like, what? I didn't even know this was a thing I could experience. So anyways, continue.
Okay,
But
well,
yeah, so
patriarchy
I
isn't
disagree.
defined by. Okay, well, I don't think patriarchy would be defined by or would be refuted by what makes you feel safe. Egalitarian,
Egalitarianism
probably
by definition
probably culturally.
is egalitarianism by definition goes against patriarchy. So, and it is an
Yeah,
egalitarian nation. So
yeah,
me feeling
egalitarian is
safe was
more.
me feeling safe was an anecdotal, like just me commenting on the side here as another human saying like I got to
Mm.
experience what that's like while I was there, and that was cool.
So, so, so if I were to look into the politics of Finland, I'd get like it's like a 50-50 like
You cut out 50-50 what? Uh-oh.
hello.
Yep, you cut out. So if we were to look into the politics of
Yeah.
Finland,
Okay.
what?
Okay. So yeah, if I were to look into the politics of Finland, I would get like a 50-50 split on like let's say those who are in the political power of Finland. I'd get a 50-50 split most likely of male and female.
I'm not sure the exact numbers. I have no idea. I just know that they have they have equal rights, the way that mothers are treated, the way that fathers are treated. It's just run very differently
Okay,
than you see over here.
okay, that's cultural. Yeah, that would be cultural. That'd be
No, by
culturally
law.
like
By
matriarchal.
law. No, by law, they have systems in place that create an egalitarian country. And I don't know, I'm not an expert
Okay.
enough. This is literally just the little bit that I've learned. I just know enough that I can't agree with your assessment that patriarchy is found in
Okay,
all
well,
developed
like,
countries.
look,
Is it
okay, look
found
here.
socially
China,
still sometimes? I'm sure.
America.
But I'm more interested in you like telling me your main point. So like you're saying, can we all agree that patriarchy is found probably more often than not in the world?
Okay, yeah, that's what I said. It's like you could find
Cool.
patriarchy in most nations than the matriarchy or egalitarianism, which is just matriarchal. So anyway, the point I was getting to then was that obviously the patriarchy manifests differently depending on where you go. So I think, when we say like patriarchy and matriarchy, or this is a patriarchy and this is a matriarchy, we're being vague. We're being very vague, I should add. And by this very crude and direct labeling, we fail to see the dynamics, more in-depth dynamics that could be actually taking place here. So I think that, let's take the situation here in America. America is more culturally matriarchal, but it's ultimately patriarchal. Culturally speaking,
Hold
women
on,
get less time in
let's pause
prison.
real quick. What's your evidence that
Okay.
America is more culturally a matriarch? Because I'm deeply interested in that claim.
Culturally okay, in our culture, the culture is the ethos, I believe, of the people. Now, culturally speaking, women get the kinder treatment for the same kinds of actions. It could be rather if it's prison time, women usually get 15 years less. Don't quote me on that too solidly, but if I remember it correctly, it was 15 years less for the 15 or 5 years less for the same crimes. More
That's
generally
patriarchy,
protective.
by the way. But I have
That's
before we
not
keep moving
patriarchy. That
forward.
would be matriarchy.
So
Huh?
no. So patriarchy or
All right, let's go.
matriarchy is so by definition, as we already said, we've been going. I don't know what you mean by let's go, but let me clarify. So
No,
it
I'm
is
saying-
when so patriarchy would be when men are in the dominant position, when they are in power over society, when they have the power. Matriarchy would be when women have the power. A woman getting a lesser prison sentence is not indicative of having power in a situation. In fact, I would say that's a little bit of sexism happening where probably you can look at those cases and see that it's a male judge being like, oh, it's a woman, I'm giving her a lesser prison sentence. That's not women in power. if anything, that's looking down on a woman and this is what the call before this was, holding her to a lesser standard because of different stereotypes and prejudices. That's not matriarchy at all. Whereas matriarchy would
Okay.
imply that women were in a position of power culturally, in which case women would be making more money, women would be getting all the time in the world off that they need for what they need. Dads would be the one getting paid to stay home with the kids. That would be matriarchy, which is, you also earlier implied that, or said that matriarchy and egalitarianism is the same thing, and that's also not the same thing. But let's go to these points now.
Okay, so there's a lot to cover there, and so because you're kind of going off like my base statements, and not really prying into the details that are in those statements.
All I have are your base statements.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like there's detail to those statements. But let's start first. Let's start somewhere here first. Power doesn't always manifest the same way. It doesn't have to be direct power. There's indirect power. Hold up. Okay, am I back?
Yep, you're here.
Yes.
Hello? Okay, yeah. There's indirect power. There's direct power. What you're talking about more so is direct power. But there is such a thing as like having a kind of more so, what's the word? Low key. I don't like that word, but screw it, we're gonna use it. A low key way of obtaining power and getting what you want. So if we could see that, if that culturally here, that women have preferential treatment, it's in some instances, of course not all, but I'd say majority of instances, women have a cultural a preferential treatment because of rather
so
how
far
they're
you've given us
perceived
one
by
example of maybe you don't know, possibly women get lesser prison sentences. You haven't given us any other examples of in society in the United States where women are given power, positions of power over men more often. Like that was just the
gladly,
one. So
gladly. Okay, I could give you more examples. Okay, so you have that when brain scramble. Okay, yeah, when cops are called to a case, right? They are more the behavior and tendency of cops towards the claims of a woman. The cop is going to more likely be more accepting, and they will like lessen their
I
guard.
have a question. Do all of your examples involve the justice system?
No.
Okay, let's hear another one, because that still, to me, falls under the category of what we talked about on a call before this, which maybe you want to go back and listen to, or the 2 calls before this, where we discussed the fact, and it's a real issue, where women that abuse children, they're not, how do I condense this call for you?
They're not portrayed, and
they're not reported as often. There's all kinds of issues, and it's directly related to patriarchy. So, and to stereotypes against or in favor of women for the wrong. So we've already discussed that. So do you have any examples for me that don't involve the justice system?
We could get to that. We could get to that as to why I think that's bullocks later. But if you want,
sure. But if you've got a lot of if there's a matriarchy in the United States that Alyssa and I don't know about, there should be a lot of examples. So I'm eager to hear. Let's hear some more.
Okay. So brain scramble. Hold up. Let's refocus here. Okay. There's a. God damn it.
I can rephrase. So do you have other examples of why you think there's a matriarchy socially in the United States? Because I believe that's what you claimed earlier.
Yeah. So I think if we're just trying to get out of the legal system and we're trying to go into just the social system, well, for one, you obviously, we all know, like, you don't hit women, you hit women, then you have a group of people jumping you.
And yet women are
Jesus Christ,
more often domestically abused.
Can I go through them all so you could have more so of a list to go down? a little bit
Yes,
more.
but
So,
also
you
but
know,
also we're the hosts of this show, so when we want to chime in and say something, we get to. That's the special privilege that we
I
have. It's really
understand,
cool, and we're letting you talk.
but like,
But yes, continue.
okay, so, so, and then like, I'd say then also in the school system, what we see here is that the school system is not geared towards boy behavior. There's a lot of there's a lot of restrictions, regulations, and rules, rather, if it's by the teacher themselves that is imposing, which is usually a feminine figure or just a woman. Let
Girls
me not
can't wear
be
spaghetti
all.
straps to school, but whatever you say, no problem.
The girls can't wear spaghetti straps to school. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
What the hell is? What the hell does that have to do with
Because it's
anything?
supposed to be because that's distracting to the boys. So what are you
Who
talking
could
about?
wear
The
spaghetti
boys don't.
straps to school? Who wait? Who could
Anybody should be
wait?
able to wear spaghetti
We're
straps to
talking about
school.
elementary school. Okay,
Yeah,
nobody could wear spaghetti straps to school. First of all, am I wrong?
I. My
Nobody, I
point
don't know if
is
I don't know.
my point is
Nobody could
that
wear
the
freaking
reason
spaghetti
that
straps to
that
school.
rule,
That's the
the
point blank
reason
there.
the reason that that rule exists is because they don't want girls to have to be showing that much skin because it's distracting to other people. It sexualizes children, and it specifically is a rule for the girls. So I'm confused about why you feel that the school
Is this
system is geared towards men. What are you talking about?
geared? Okay, so first off,
I'm
let's
just
Where's
just
geared
get this
towards
no,
men?
like
down.
where
Nobody could wear spaghetti straps to school. Correct. Nobody could do that.
I have no idea. I was
Okay.
homeschooled. I don't know what people can or can't
Nobody
do.
can
I
do that.
just
No.
want
Okay. No. No.
Okay.
I
Nobody
You're
I
could.
want some
you're frustrating me because listen, you're frustrating me because you're doing
Talk
this
to me.
weird laughing thing, and it's really annoying and it's really condescending. And
I'm
so
happy.
I rarely get like heated on this show, but the laughing situation is really annoying. And on top of that, you keep giving us these like really bizarre random examples that
These are not
oftentimes
bizarre or
are
random at all. These
actually.
are studied. These are looked into.
What is
This
the
is like
school
what
example?
psychology.
Give me
study?
the school
What is
The hell?
example.
study? Because
Give me
you've
the
given us
school
nothing. I'm
example.
gonna I'm gonna mute you real quick and then I'm gonna let you come back on. So here's my issue. You're laughing over and over again. Alyssa and I are happy too, but we also are able to like be silent and allow people to talk when it's their turn and we're not laughing and giggling over each other. More importantly than that, I have still not heard a single good reason from you why you have what your evidence is of a matriarchy in the United States. And you would think that Alyssa and I, being women, would be aware of this secret matriarchal society. So I want to give you a chance to give us like concrete, like we're sitting here, we're being serious, we are willing to listen to you. Give me some concrete examples or maybe you need to go sit down and formulate your thoughts better and call back next week if you can do it without being condescending. I'll unmute you now.
Okay. Okay.
You're,
I'll try
yeah.
and tone down. I'll try and tone down the laugh for a bit. All right. So, but if I'm going to communicate this point to you guys, right? I'm going to need you to at least allow me 30 seconds to fully extrapolate and detail to you guys my full point, so you guys can
I'll give you
respond to
30
it.
seconds. I'll give you 30 seconds starting now.
Okay. So the school system here is developed in a way which restricts the natural tendencies of boys, usually referring to under the ages of 13, to engage in play and other sorts of behaviors. Also, the learning system um, does not cater to or is not even beneficial to how boys usually learn. It is more designed for the learning the way that little girls learn.
Cool. Okay, so it's been 30
Oh,
seconds. So
okay, that was 30 seconds. Yeah,
here's my thing real quick. I
yeah,
have all kinds of issues with the American education system. You and I could probably enjoy a conversation talking about that, it sounds like. Here's my
of
issue.
course.
How is that evidence of a matriarchy?
That's it's a social it's a social um ugh, brain scrambled. It's a social let's say error that is
it's
in benefit that is majorly in benefit for girls. Let's say that
cool. So that's
over
one.
over
That's
boys.
one example. But matriarchy requires a societal, like a systemic issue. I'm asking, where can you show me a matriarchal
How is
society? You can point out little things here and there. Where are women dominating over a culture completely, not over
okay?
one situation in
How is
school? Show me where they're dominating over culture.
okay? You could keep belittling, I guess, the examples I'm giving you, but how is
It's
that
not
not a
belittling. I'm
systemic
trying
problem
to
that's
get to an
happening in the
I
actual
schools?
point.
also I also don't believe you because standardized testing is not like that's how is that? I don't know what you mean that like
School is
things
more
are
than
taught
standardized
based on
testing,
gender.
obviously. School is more
Sorry,
than
what was that?
standardized testing.
I know,
School
but
is
I
more
don't
than
know what
standardized.
you I understand, but what about the way that we learn could possibly be every single person regardless of their gender learns differently and we standardize the way that we teach and we standardize the way that we test. So I don't really this feels like a non-point because I also don't really I can't imagine there being an effective study on that being so significant between genders. If there
Okay.
is actually a study, I would genuinely, truly, without an ounce of sarcasm, would love to see it because
Do you
I
have an
find that
Instagram?
really hard to believe. Yeah, I do. It's at
If you have,
Alyssa LJUB.
okay, I
It'll
promise
be
if like today or tomorrow, I'll get you the links and I'll post
okay.
them in there, and you could read them through. You could call them bullshit or whatever there. But as as it stands right now, on your comment that we all have unique learning kinds of ways, not necessarily. There's there somebody looked into it. The whole entire myth of sort of semi myth of different learning styles is not necessarily accurate. There's like minor differences. So like probably somebody's more inclined to pick up information audibly, but it's not that significantly important to be
Here
considered like some sort of different learning style.
Here's my problem. If
Ultimately,
you have those studies, I'm going to agree with you. We're like losing the point here, which is that you claimed that America has a matriarchal society. And I am trying to
ye-
understand where you are
okay,
getting that
wait,
from
hold
because we
up.
can point to little
I did not
things.
say I didn't my bad. I did not say that America has a matriarchal society. I said that America is culturally matriarchal, but
Okay,
overall is
so let's go to
patriarchal.
that. Show me culturally how it's matriarchal. That would imply that culturally women dominate.
Okay, what do you mean by dominate? Okay, it needs to be very specified because if you just say dominate, dominate means so many different things. You can't just say,
Well,
oh, my bad for
we've
laughing.
It would
spent
You
imply
can't just
that
say,
women are in it would imply that women are in that women are primarily in positions of power over men. Because patriarchy implies that men are in positions of power over women. So we're going with the
does
opposite.
does power have to be, how could I articulate it? Does power have to be, let's say, like directly being given from a
Yes, because
person
the
like
definition of
it's
so what we're talking about is patriarchy or in this case matriarchy,
mhm.
which involves it's a systemic issue. So that's political dominance, it's social dominance, it's all the different ways. I honestly feel like
Okay.
you called just going ahead and forming this opinion and you weren't prepared at all because you don't even know the definitions of these words that you've made the claim patriarchy is
I
beneficial.
do.
Now
I
you've
gave
gone
you
on
my
to say
definition.
and now you've gone on to say that America culturally is matriarchal and yet you don't even know
And you
I'm
haven't let
having to
me
tell
even
you what
fully
that would
extrapolate
mean.
that. I haven't even been able to fully extrapolate that to the degree I'd like so you could respond to its fullness. But I have been trying to give you small instances I mean, when we speak about culture, right? Not to go too far on a tangent, but okay, if I'm going to claim that America is a cultural matriarchy, I'm going to have to define what a culture is, and I guess now we have to also define what power is. Power is more easier to define. So power is influence. Rather if that's direct or indirect, it doesn't matter. But it ultimately can be boiled down to having a influence. Culture is the customs and the behavior of a people. That the I should add the conventional customs and behavior of a people. Okay, so culturally, that means so conventionally, our customs and behavior,
Hold
just on a
on.
people to people
Before
basis.
we let you
Okay,
just like give a whole teaching on culture and all of that, I'm confused how we went from you starting the call, making the claim that patriarchy is beneficial, and now here you are trying to prove to us that America
well,
has a
if you
social
had let me
matriarchy.
finish,
So
if you had let
we've been
me
having this
finish,
conversation
then
for 26 minutes, and you have yet to make a
and
single
I
point to
haven't
either
gotten
of
to my
those
point
claims.
still. That's crazy. and I
It
That
and
is
I
is
still
crazy.
haven't
I
gotten
crazy.
to my.
agree. It absolutely is crazy because
I
we've let you
agree.
respond over and
This is
over and
like the
over again.
wildest shit that has.
Did you mute him?
No, I didn't. We might have lost
Oh,
him. I
well,
don't know.
great. Well,
Or
that's
did he mute
fine.
himself? Oh,
I muted him.
wait.
Oh,
Oh,
thanks.
okay.
Okay, cool. Well, we're both like, we don't know how to use the computer.
I was so confused.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly good on this conversation. I'm okay if he
Yeah,
wants to try to call back when his thoughts are a little bit more formulated, but I'm not down to just like give him this airtime for this amount of time when he should have
I know.
succinct point. Like if you're going to make a claim that big, then I need you to know these definitions. Also, maybe he should go back and listen to the calls before this. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool. Well, that's been fun, except not really. Also, the way he was talking to you was really pissing me off. So
He just, in general, the laughing was annoying on top of like just not giving any actual clear argument at all. And then on top of that, anytime he did say anything, it was absolutely the most outrageous, out of left field thing I've
yeah,
ever heard in my life. And I refuse to believe that that man was going to give me brand new information that I've never heard before.
yeah, it was very frustrating. And yeah, overall, I don't know. I was over. I would have thought each time he said brain scramble, I was like, is he chat GPTing this? But I'm a million percent sure that chat GPT would have given us some better answers. So I kind of wish that he had been in those
Yeah,
moments. But that was
very
wild.
frustrating.
And just so we don't have somebody saying like, "Oh, you didn't let me talk," you are absolutely welcome to call back. I'm going to be
Yes.
hosting several different times throughout this month, and Alyssa is back on here every Tuesday night. So it sounds like both of us are down to have the conversation. Just be prepared.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Snow, executive producer of The Line, and I only became a woodworker for the puns. That's not important. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so on our Patreon or as a channel member, and you can actually support specific shows and specific hosts in special tiers on those. Check those options out. Also, you can leave a super thanks and get a little highlighted deal. But if all else fails, you can always you can subscribe and leave a comment. Now, here are some suggestions because I don't care about the algorithm. I am the algorithm. Bye.